You've entered the story they tried to bury. What you hear next was never meant to be found. This is Grim Whisper Studios. It started as a dare on a forum most people had never heard of. Play the Mirror Man ritual, post your results, prove he's real. No name, no admin, just hundreds of posts, all anonymous, all claiming the same thing. A man in the mirror who doesn't blink. Tyler was 19, a gaming streamer, half bored, half drunk, and all ego. He saw the challenge trending on a cursed TikTok thread and thought, content. Easy clicks. Creepy stuff always brought the views. So he set up a live stream, midnight, a candle, a mirror, and his laptop. The rules were simple. Look into a mirror at exactly 3 a.m. Say, "Mirror Man, show me truth," 3 times. Don't break eye contact. Don't blink. And if he shows up, you're not supposed to move. Tyler laughed it off. This is BS, he told his chat. Over 700 people watching, emojis flooding the screen. At 2:59, he leaned in close. The flame flickered. 3 a.m. He stared. "Mirror Man, show me truth." Once, twice, 3 times. Silence. Then the stream glitched. Just for a second. The reflection behind him twitched. Not Tyler, the background. It moved. He spun around. Nothing there. Chat exploded. "Bro, WTF. Did you see that? Behind you?" Tyler leaned closer again. This time his reflection didn't match him. He raised his hand. The reflection smiled. He wasn't smiling. Tyler's breath hitched. He forced a laugh, trying to play it off for the chat. "Glitch filter, chill guys." But his voice cracked slightly, something he never let happen on stream. The reflection's smile widened, slowly, unnaturally, like it knew he was pretending. He reached out to touch the mirror. Cold, but the reflection didn't follow. Tyler's hand stayed still. The other one moved on its own, dragging its fingernails down the glass from the inside. A low screeching sound echoed, not from the mirror but from his laptop speakers. The chat froze. His connection didn't drop, but not one new message came in. Just silence. Still. Like every viewer had stopped breathing at once. Then the lights in his room went out. Tyler stumbled backward, candle still burning, mirror still standing, and the reflection was gone. Not replaced, not black, just empty. He looked around, reached for his phone. No service. His laptop screen blinked back to life. The stream was still running, but he wasn't in frame anymore. Someone else was, wearing his clothes, smiling his smile, and slowly turning its head toward the mirror again. Tyler yanked the laptop shut. His heart pounded against his ribs like it was trying to get out. He flicked on the light switch. Nothing. The bulb buzzed faintly but stayed dead. He grabbed his phone again, opened the camera app. No bars, no Wi-Fi, but the camera worked. He aimed it at the mirror. Nothing showed, just the wall. But he was standing right in front of it. He lowered the phone. His reflection returned, only it was wrong again. This time its eyes were pitch black. No whites, just void. It didn't move, didn't blink, until he did. And then it smiled again. Tyler turned and ran. Down the hall, through the kitchen. He nearly slipped on the tile. Threw open the door. Night air hit his lungs like cold water. But as he stepped outside, everything stopped. No wind, no sound. Not even the street lamps were on. His neighborhood, dead still. No lights, no cars. Just silence and the faint pulsing echo of a glitch, like digital feedback caught in his skull. He glanced down at his phone. A new message had appeared on the lock screen. "You blinked." Tyler stared at the message. He hadn't opened any apps, no notifications. Just those 2 words pulsing on a black screen. "You blinked." He wiped the screen. It didn't go away. Then his phone buzzed. Once. Hard. like something alive had twitched inside it. The screen flickered and switched to the front camera. He didn't turn it on, and what it showed wasn't him. His face was there, but it wasn't breathing. It just stared, eyes wide, frozen like a photograph. And in the corner behind his shoulder, a shadow crept across the image. Slow, thin, human-shaped, but it had no face. Tyler turned instinctively. No one was there. He looked back at the phone. Now the screen just read, "You've been seen." Then it powered off on its own. Tyler ran back inside, slammed the door, locked it, barricaded it. Every mirror in the house he covered. Sheets, towels, jackets, anything. But when he returned to his room, the original mirror had no sheet. He was sure he'd covered it, and something was written across the glass in condensation. A single line, scrawled with a shaking finger. "One of us must leave." Tyler stepped back. His throat tightened. The candle had burned down to a stub, barely flickering. The air was cold, too cold for spring. He didn't want to look, but the mirror pulled his eyes like gravity. The writing was gone. Now his reflection stood there again. Normal clothes, his face, but something about it was wrong. It was watching him, not mirroring, watching. Then it raised its hand, but Tyler hadn't moved, and in its hand was a knife. It slowly dragged the blade across its palm. Blood pooled, but it smiled. Blood smeared across the glass. On Tyler's side. He stumbled back, heart racing. Suddenly the mirror went pitch black. Then from inside he heard his own voice, crying, begging, screaming, "Let me out! It's not me! It's not me!" The reflection came back, calm, still holding the knife. But now, it was no longer in the mirror. It stood behind him. He turned. No one. Just his reflection. Back to normal. Except for one thing. It blinked. He didn't. Tyler couldn't move. His chest rose and fell in shallow bursts. But the rest of him was frozen, locked in some silent agreement he never signed. His reflection stared back. No knife now. Just eyes. Calm, hollow, patient eyes. Then it whispered. Not through the mirror. From inside his head. "You're not the one anymore." The candle went out. Darkness swallowed the room like floodwater. But Tyler didn't panic. Couldn't. Something had settled inside him. Cold. Still. Like a second heartbeat. That didn't beat. The mirror lit up again. Not with reflection, but with video. His stream. Still live. But it wasn't him on screen. It was it. Sitting in his chair. Smiling. Blinking. Breathing. And chatting casually with his viewers. "Thanks for the subs, guys. Ritual's fake, though. Nothing happened." The audience was eating it up. He tried to scream, move, reach out. Nothing. Then came the final message on his phone, lighting up the floor beside him. "Host transfer complete." And somewhere across the world, another teenager clicked the ritual post, ready to try it for themselves. The first time it happened, I thought it was a dream. I woke up in the motel room, room 103, same flickering neon sign outside, same static on the old TV, same strange tick-tick-tick from the bathroom faucet that wouldn't stop dripping. Outside, the world looked like early morning, dimensois colorless, like the sky had forgotten how to turn blue. I sat up, heart already pounding for reasons I couldn't explain. My phone on the nightstand showed 3:17 a.m. Not a missed call, not a single message, just like yesterday. I glanced at the notepad beside it, a note I didn't remember writing. "Don't open the door. Don't answer the knock." A hard knock shook the door. 3 times. Slow. Measured. As if whoever was outside already knew I was awake. I didn't move. Just stared at the wood grain, breathing shallow. Then came the whisper. Not from behind the door, from under the bed. It said my name, The same voice I'd heard before, the same whisper I'd heard yesterday and the day before that. But I didn't check under the bed, not anymore, because the first time I did, I saw myself, bleeding, still breathing. I shut my eyes, willed it all away. When I opened them, it was daylight. I was in room 103, the same flickering neon sign outside. Phone said 3:17 a.m. again. This time I didn't scream. I just sat there. The sound of the faucet dripping in the bathroom was slower now, like it was thinking between each drop. Tick, tick, tick. I tried leaving once, packed my bag, walked out the door, made it to the parking lot. But when I turned around to look back at the motel, it wasn't behind me. It was in front of me again. Same building, same red vacancy sign, same room number painted crooked on the door. 103. I don't even remember checking in. I don't remember why I came here. I opened my suitcase. It had only one thing inside, a Polaroid, a picture of me, standing in front of the motel, eyes blacked out with marker, with a single word written in sharp ink on the bottom. Run! But where? When I tried smashing the window, it shattered like normal glass and reformed in slow motion, like time was rewinding itself. And the worst part, every time I tried to stay awake, tried to fight sleep, it always dragged me back to that exact moment. Waking up at 3:17 a.m., same bed, same whisper, same knock. But now the whispers are getting louder. They don't just say my name anymore. They say, you were the first. The first what? I don't know what I'm trapped inside. A loop, a punishment, or someone's experiment. And then tonight, I checked under the bed again. This time there were two of me, one bleeding, one smiling. I crawled backward from the bed, trembling, watching those two faces beneath it. The bleeding version of me stared blankly. The smiling one whispered something I couldn't hear. Then they both vanished, like smoke pulled into a vacuum. I didn't sleep after that. I couldn't. I sat on the edge of the bed watching the clock tick forward. 3:18, 3:19, 3:20 a.m. For the first time, time moved. But at 3:33 a.m., everything stopped again. The lights froze mid-flicker. The drip from the faucet hung in the air like a suspended raindrop. Even the shadows stopped moving. And then, the TV turned on by itself. Static. Always static. But behind the noise, a voice crackled through. It said, "Only the guilty loop." And then a new image appeared. A grainy black and white video. Me, standing in the same motel room, talking to someone off screen. I turned the volume up. The video me said, "This place doesn't exist, not really. It's a marker, a scar in time. Someone left it open." The screen glitched. My own eyes bled black. Then came that voice again, deeper this time. "You let it in. Now you keep it in." The room went dark. My phone buzzed. A new message. No number, just a single line. "Check the mirror." I turned toward the bathroom and saw a hand pressed against the inside of the mirror. My hand. But I was still standing across the room. My reflection smiled and whispered, "One of us has to stay." I didn't want to move, didn't want to breathe, but something about that reflection, about the way it smiled without blinking, made my skin crawl from the inside out. I walked toward the mirror slowly, every step heavier than the last. The hand on the other side moved in sync with mine, until it didn't. I stopped, but the reflection didn't. It tilted its head, watched me like prey. Then it mouthed the words, "You're out of time." I turned and ran, out the door, across the lot, into the woods behind the motel. No map, no phone signal. But the trees weren't natural. They bent toward me, groaned like old wood under pressure, and every direction looked the same, like someone copied and pasted the same patch of forest over and over. Eventually, I came across something, a burned-out car, still smoking. I stepped closer. License plate read 103RM. I looked inside. There was a skeleton in the driver's seat, head tilted toward me, lips frozen mid-scream, and clutched in its bony hand, a Polaroid. Same as mine, same word on the bottom, run. But this one had a second word added in blood-red ink, smeared across the chest. Too late. I turned and bolted back toward the motel, but it was already there again, in front of me, glowing faintly in the mist, like it never left. Back in room 103, the TV was on. This time, it wasn't static. It was live footage of me sleeping. I stared at the TV, watching myself toss and turn in the motel bed, but I was standing, wide awake. I waved my hand. The version of me on screen didn't react, but then something else did. A dark figure stepped into the frame, tall, faceless, limbs too long to be human. It stood at the edge of the bed, staring down at the sleeping me. My chest tightened. It slowly raised one hand and pointed, straight at the camera, straight at me. Then the screen went black. I grabbed my phone, still no service, and checked the time. 3:17 a.m. again. But this time the knock came before I could even process it. 3 knocks, slow, heavy, deliberate. Then the doorknob began to turn on its own. I grabbed the chair and shoved it under the handle, backed away, every cell in my body screaming to run, to escape. But the room, this cursed room, wrapped around me like a coffin. Then I heard it, from inside the walls, voices, layered, hundreds of them, all whispering the same thing. You stayed too long. Now you belong. I turned toward the mirror again, but there was no reflection this time, only darkness, and a pair of glowing red eyes in the center. Then, a hand reached out of the glass. It wasn't mine. It grabbed my wrist, cold and solid, and pulled hard. And in that 1 second, I swear I saw them all. Versions of me, hundreds, trapped, screaming, frozen in different moments of the same loop, each one reliving their last breath. I pulled back just in time, falling hard onto the floor, but the mirror didn't crack. It grinned. I crawled backward, eyes fixed on the mirror. It wasn't glass anymore. It was a window, a gate, and behind it, all those trapped versions of me were still watching. Some pounded against the inside. Some just wept. One smiled and whispered, "You're next." The room around me flickered like a dying signal. Ceiling, floor, walls. Everything shook like it was trying to hold itself together and failing. Then came a loud clang, metallic, final, like a lock turning inside the earth itself. I stood slowly and realized something that froze my blood. There was no door anymore. Room 103 had no exit, only 4 walls, no windows, no handles. I wasn't in the room. I was the room. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m. again. A new message appeared. It's your turn to trap the next one. My head spun. I stumbled to the bed, and there, lying on the sheets, was a new Polaroid. A girl, wide-eyed, terrified, standing outside the motel, and on the back one word in my own handwriting. Welcome. I screamed, pounded the walls, pleaded with the voices inside them, but they only laughed. Outside, through the one-way glass, I saw her, the girl, dragging her suitcase, checking in at the front desk, room 103. And suddenly, I was behind the mirror, smiling, waiting, because the loop doesn't break, it only resets.